you're probably not pushing yourself hard enough in the work that you're doing. I need you to feel uncomfortable and be okay uncomfortable, because we got to do outreach. We got to get in touch with people. We got to ask people to come and be a part of our big mission and vision. I believe that with 8 billion people on this earth, there's certain things God needs to bring to the earth. The thoughts you're having, are they from God, or are they just your own dumb thoughts? Learning to trust in yourself and in God.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Full Ascend Brotherhood. I am Dr. Mark Leonard, and I am pumped to be here with one of my friends, Stu Draper. This is going to be a really cool interview, but really what this is just two guys talking and getting to know a little bit about each other and figure out, what has been that secret to success for Stu. And, we invite you everywhere to send us some questions. If you want me to interview someone and you are interested in how they got there, but more importantly, how they stayed true to their faith, stayed true to who they are, this is exactly what this podcast is designed for. So I am so pumped to be able to chat with Stu, my friend. How are you, brother?
I'm so good, Mark, especially better now that I'm here with you. This is going to be fun.
It really is. The first time I met you, we were actually up at one of the Startups with Stu events up in Idaho, probably one of the most beautiful areas of the whole country outside of West Yellowstone. But that's not where you started your whole life. Just give me kind of an overview, where you're from, and if there was one thing that you were known for in high school, what would it be?
High school, I hope what I was known for was being the friendliest guy to everybody, but I was probably most known for my wrestling background and success. I played baseball and wrestled, and both of those things built me in large part into who I am today. Learned a lot from my coaches and from the brothers that I was with on the field and on the mat.
Isn't it amazing how sports applies directly to business? I found that for me to be true. My sports of choice were swimming and downhill skiing. And although they were individual, they were also team sports. And it's amazing how you really had to get over some of those fears to get to that next level.
Yeah. The just that one experience of prepping for an event, looking forward to it, feeling the butterflies, and then deciding to say, my body is okay with this feeling of fear, this feeling of concern. I've now pushed myself past it, and then I still found that I could perform even with the butterflies. I saw a quote, Mark, the other day that I was like, whoa, that like describes it perfectly. It said, take those butterflies in your stomach and put them in flying V formation. I was like, that is genius. This idea that like, if I have fear, if I'm concerned about how I'm going to perform and I feel it in my gut and it makes me almost sick to my stomach, I got to learn how to harness that and tell myself and remind myself, not just like dupe myself into believing something that's not true. No. If I feel that, that's my body gearing itself up and telling itself, you're doing something big, get ready. And if you can let yourself feel that way about it, you will find that in the moment of time to perform, your body's just ready. It wants it now because it felt that. So yeah, for me, getting over those fears, big part of life development for sure. So.
I've also heard it stated, and by the way, I love that quote. I love that idea of just, kind of embrace that butterfly feeling, that uncomfortableness, put it in V formation and just let's go. Let's try it. Let's just keep going. But I've also heard that success in business is 99% what happens in the dark. It's not what people see. How have you found that you've been able to, mimic that butterfly sensation to prepare you to execute?
When we were building StuKent, early days, you go to recruit team members and you find that you have to like beg people and really try to polish that penny you're going to pay them to get them excited about working for you, right? And I remember telling the early days team members that it was like, hey, if you're not getting uncomfortable, if you're not putting yourself in a position where you're getting sweaty of nerves, you're probably not pushing yourself hard enough in the work that you're doing. I need you to feel uncomfortable and be okay uncomfortable, because we got to do outreach. We got to get in touch with people. We got to ask people to come and be a part of our big mission and vision. But we don't have any background. We have no brand power yet. No one believes in us yet. And so you should have multiple moments every week where you get palm sweaty, where you wish you had put on more deodorant because you're nervous about what you're doing. Push yourself through that. Welcome it. The more often we're doing that, the more opportunities it's what we're giving ourselves to grow. So, yeah, I mean, for me, that's a direct translation from a feeling I felt in sports and how I use that in business. And like you mentioned, it is what you do in the dark. It's the preparation as much as it is the performance.
I see how sports have really changed how I perform in business. Another sport that I performed in was actually show choir. Of all the things, I was a chamber singer. And it was, I don't even like to admit this in public, because then people go, oh, so you can sing. I'm really, really good in my truck alone. I hit every note. Yeah, right? But I have found that when you get ready to hire, that's because you've actually have achieved something already. How did you know it was time for you to hire that first employee? Because it wasn't you. It wasn't, let's see, when you started, it was just you and one other person, correct?
Yeah. Honestly, I've found that in the beginning days of what you're starting, God kind of has a way of showing you the way, in my opinion. So you start out alone and you work hard and you trust God that you're doing the right thing. And I tell people, if the light bulb goes off, keep twisting and see if it gets brighter. And if it goes out, then you know to stop and move on to the next thing. But I believe that with 8 billion people on this earth, there's certain things God needs to bring to the earth, things that he needs others to get to have as a blessing, because they'll become your customer and they need what you're going to bring to the world. So if that's the case, then when you go to work and you work hard and you live right, then, and you have some courage to jump on the opportunity, when you've done that, he can then use you to give other people the opportunities that they need for their career. And so for me, what happened, I'll give you one really cool example of this, or two. I'll give you two ones because they're both awesome and really good men that joined my team. So I hired a first recruit. He was a sales rep from another company. He was proven as a successful presidential leader in another business. Like, he'd won President's Club status with his sales job. Hired him. He came in and he did okay. I had another guy that he's like, hey, my father-in-law invested in your business. My brother-in-law's invested in your business. I'd love to just come be a part of it as a sales rep. And I was like, I don't know if it's a fit. Well, he followed up with me like a month later, and I was like, yeah, I already got a guy. I don't think it's a fit. And so he kind of went away. Well, I had a trip planned to go to Oregon, where he lived at the time. And the thought came to me, you know what? You're too busy right now to set appointments to meet with these universities over in the Portland, Oregon area. But that's where he is. Why don't you just message him and see if he'd be willing, since he's so interested in working for you, if he'd be willing to work for free and just try, so that he can try out selling to see if he likes it. And so I gave him an email script. I gave him a phone script. And the next thing I know, I have from Brandon, in 36 hours, he had signed up 6 schools to meet with me in person. And I was like, that's not the experience I've had with my first sales rep. Like, this is awesome. So I went out, met with those schools. It was Oregon, Oregon State, Portland, the 2 other JUCOs. And it was like incredible that he had pulled that off so easy and so fast. And for him, it was like now really clear. He wanted to work for me, right? And I didn't have a lot of money to pay a second sales rep at the time. And I didn't want to fire the first one yet. So I gave him that experience. It gave both of us a reassurance that we should work together. So I offered him a job and found a way to give him some equity in exchange for working for free for me. And that's how I got my second hire. Another hire. And so, by the way, for me, if you didn't see the hand of God in that experience, I had said no twice. That guy ended up becoming the chief revenue officer of the business. He sold 200 of the first 300 deals that we got. And I needed him. The business needed him. The world needed what we had. And God helped make it happen with us just trying to live right, work hard, and have courage to jump on opportunities. Right?
So, you know what I love about that is there's a pattern that I see with so many of us that believe in divine revelation, that believe in personal revelation. I've found a pattern for me, and it's just simply when I hear something, if I start to argue with it, that's the worldly fallen man. And then when I begin to fall in step with what I'm hearing, thinking, feeling, seeing, all of a sudden the floodgates open, and it happens every single time. But the pattern has always been for me, it's been, oh man, I think I'm arguing with God.
Yeah. Well, it's very natural to question the thoughts you're having. Are they from God, or are they just your own dumb thoughts or inaccurate thoughts? You've misstepped before. Is this a misstep here? And I think learning to trust in yourself and in God, the more you show him you want to do what he wants, the more frequently he gives you direction and wants to see if you're going to trust his direction. And it includes missteps. Sometimes exactly what God wants is to hold you in place for a little while for something bigger he has for you later, right? And if he's going to do that, sometimes he's got to send you on the sightseeing version of the trip, right? It's not the direct path all the time.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I had an opportunity to buy a business a couple years ago, and my wife and I, we went back and forth. Should we do this? Should we not? And we went to the temple. We're praying about it. It was like, we're supposed to do this. And dude, I bought this thing for a song. Like, my vehicle was worth more than how much I paid for the business. We get into it, and it was a dying business, just plummeting down. And I'm thinking, did I really just throw away? Not that, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 is a lot of money, but for a lot of people, that's a lot of money. And we were able to turn that thing around, and it was going fantastic. And then the bottom fell out again. And we had to make a real big choice of, are we supposed to keep this open, keep trying, or close it? And I closed it. And I remember sitting there thinking, I just threw away. And now at this point, because you keep reinvesting, right? So you start with 50, then it's 70, then it's 90,000. Now I'm at 125. Now I'm 150,000 that I've invested into pulling this business back up. And all of a sudden I'm losing all of that because I'm now closing it down. I remember sitting there going, Heavenly Father, was that what you wanted me to learn? Was like the money didn't mean anything? But when I really got real with myself and when I got real with the Lord, I stepped back. I was able to go, look at all these great things I've learned through the process. When you started StuKent, and for people that don't know what StuKent is, just give us a high level, what it is and what your role is in that now.
StuKent provides courseware. Others would call them like an e-textbook. We call it courseware. We update it every year so it stays current with the fast-moving industries. And then we provide simternships, a simulated internship. And they are simulations of the type of work you would do with the information you're learning. So when you learn a concept, you get to put that concept into practice. You learn it in the courseware via video, via like lecture slides and time with the professor. You learn it a lot of different ways, but then after you've learned it, you get to apply it right away in the simulation as a competition with your peers in the class. And that type of applied learning and simulated real life experience has been very successful. StuKent has now helped over 1 million students over the last decade from over 80 countries. And we have over 170 team members now. The business is private equity backed now. I sold the majority ownership to Tritium Partners, who they ended up buying before they did a deal with StuKent. They did a deal with VRBO and HomeAway and bought them at 10 million and sold them for 4 billion to Expedia. So they're really good partners for our business, and the business has tripled since I brought them on and we were already very well on a good trajectory without them, and we've continued to just crush it moving forward. I'm no longer the leader. 2 years ago I stepped down as the CEO, and it's been fun to watch the new leadership. Actually, it's been 1.5 years do their thing. So
when you started though, were you already, I'm going to just say, were you already wealthy?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a good question. So my dad at the time didn't invest, and my minimum to invest in the business was $25,000. I was so bummed that he didn't join as an investor, because in my bones I could feel that we were going to go to the moon with this thing. But yeah, I didn't get any money from mom and dad. And wealthy, no. In fact, my wife jokes that I married her for the money, because she had like 10 grand to her name and I had like $3,000 in debt on a car and no real like savings when we got married. By the way, I highly recommend get married poor and don't worry about finances. You'll grow together and figure it out together. And that's the best way to build a relationship, in my opinion. But so for young listeners, that's my advice on marriage. And also as it relates to building a business, if you think you have to get married after you've built your business, you'll just be married to a business the rest of your life. And you may find love that comes and goes, but the real love comes from someone who will marry you without the success, and that will cheer for you whether you succeed or fail. And Lindsay has been such a blessing for me. But yeah, I failed at used car sales. I failed at summer sales, door-to-door sales. I got a good job with a property management software company. They were a startup. They ran out of funding. None of those 3 businesses are in business today. And but I took it very personal that it was me that had failed when those businesses didn't work out. And when I got fired from one, I just didn't make any money with the second, had to stop. And the third, they pulled 16 of us in a room and laid us all off. And so young, I had just nothing to my name, and I had failed at 3 businesses when I started getfoundfirst.com, my first startup. So
I love that pattern, and I see it in my own life. I see it with every founder I've ever talked with, that those that are truly successful are the ones that have gone through periods, even many years or many periods of time, where that others would deem as broke, as penniless, as bankrupt. You know, we've actually filed bankruptcy twice. I've lost everything. And then I built 7-figure businesses. It's not about how much money you have in the bank. What do you think it's really about?
What do I think it's really about, man? This is like the meaning of life kind of a question, right?
Totally right. 42 is the answer.
Yeah, so I'm 42 years old. I still have a lot to learn, but I think that we are here on this earth to learn and figure and grow and build. We are created by a divine master creator that created this universe and all of its wonder and glory. How he did it, why he did it, I'm still learning, and I don't know, and I don't have all the answers. But for me personally, I believe that we were meant to build and create. And so I look at the meaning of this work as the money allows me the opportunities to keep experiencing other levels of growth and building. So when I started getfoundfirst.com, I had like a few $1,000, right, to my name, and proud that I owned my car at that point and didn't have a lot of debt, and I was graduating college. But like that experience, that that built me, it improved me. And when I sold that business young, I made 380 grand or something like that. There you go. I don't even remember how much I made off of that sale. But for me, building something that was worth zero and years later having people say, hey, this is worth 350,000, it was like, whoa, I have built something from nothing that's now worth $350,000. This is a win, and it changed my perspective on what was possible. It allowed me the freedom, the time it would take to invest everything into StuKent.com. That now that business is north of a couple $100 million in value. And I never would have gotten there had I not been laid off, let go, fired, and then decided to start that first little business that gave me new perspective. And it allowed me to build the next thing and the next thing. And now I'm working on another project that I believe is bigger than both of those combined. And I'm so excited to test myself again. You know, there's this idea of proving myself, and not from a perspective of I'm not enough if I don't, but from the perspective of I believe that I'm built by a master creator. Do I believe it enough to believe that I can go create more even now that I've already done some big things? And big is all relative. There's people so far ahead of me as it relates to the value of a business they've created. But I'm excited to test myself again. And so I'm working on something called National Parks Baseball Resort, Mark, and I'm so excited to see what it can do. And for the people I'll get to hire, the jobs I'll get to create, and the experiences and memories that will be made by the players and coaches and families that come and be a part of it. So
It is absolutely epic, and I have loved watching it evolve, and I've loved watching, the logo come. I've loved watching the color schemes and the plans. I have been watching this from the sidelines, and I am absolutely pumped to see how many lives you will be able to touch through the development of this incredible, incredible facility there in Idaho. And this is another thing I think is fantastic. People go, well, the only way you can be successful is if you put it in, and they start to limit all of the places that they believe will be the best place to build a business. Here I am. I split my time between Hawaii, Arizona, and Florida, and I'm in Florida right now, an absolute baseball mecca. This is where people would think that would be placed. And yet you're putting it right at the foot of the Grand Tetons.
yeah, and actually it's funny you say that. Of the first 40 teams, I think 5 of them are from Florida. Boca Raton, Florida is, I think, the furthest away from home of every team that's signed up. And there's a, if you go where everyone goes and do what everyone does, then you should expect to get the same results that the average person gets. And so for me, I look
at like misery to me,
right? Yeah, I agree with you. For me, that's a sad state. I'm not saying that it's wrong for people to have a regular job or that it's wrong for people to choose a life that is more average. I think, but what's important is that you're pushing yourself to be the best version of yourself and to do the things that you were meant to do. And for me, I feel very guided in this. And it's been so fun to see the moments where already it's been like, yep, you're on the right path. Yes, you should keep doing this. I've twisted that light bulb and the light keeps getting brighter. By the way, can I share something I've learned about business from this experience that's been different from the other two?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think this can apply to other aspects of your life. So we are doing pre-sales. So if you choose to build a business, you'll hear often sayings like entrepreneurship is, flying a plane and reading the manual while you're in the air. And there is some truth to that. But what it's not like is jumping out of the plane with no parachute and hoping you find a way to land. There needs to be enough of a plan, enough of thought, that you have done your part for God to help you make it happen. So many people in this like belief of, hey, if I have faith, it all works. And it's like just belief with no works. It's not going to work. You got to build a plan, and you may need to, your plan may be, I'm going to read the manual while I'm in the air. I like to read the manual before I fly a plane, and I would hire someone to train me first. And so we are dealing with lives as entrepreneurs, right? And so for me, what I did with this business was I did pre-sales. You could sign your team up for just $100, fully refundable deposit. I wanted to see how many teams I could get signed up. Now, I don't have $900,000 worth of payments received, but the $100 deposits add up to that much pre-committed sales. And it's made it so that I feel safe investing my family's wealth into this business and inviting other investors that may be interested to come and be involved. And so my name matters to me. My ability to bring on other talent and talk someone into leaving a career they're on currently to come join my career path and my business. I'm proving these things to myself in advance of full speed ahead. And now with that proof of pre-sales, it's like no brainer now. And I can go into every conversation very confident in myself, in the business plan. And so for what that's worth, I think in life, we need to create a plan. We know that it's not perfect. Know that we don't have a crystal ball. Trust in the Lord that he's going to help us find the way with us doing our part.
And I'm going to add one more to that. Counsel with your wife.
100%, 150%.
I think that is the most overlooked superpower any entrepreneur or founder has, is a spouse who may not think they know how to do it, but they believe in you and they support you and they counsel with you. My best business partner is my wife, by far.
Does she work? Does she is she actually involved in the operations?
She was, and now she's actually doing her doctorate in physical therapy.
Oh, good for her. That's
Here
so
we
cool.
are in our 50s, and she goes, you know what? She put me through my doctorate while raising the kids, and now it's my opportunity to help her. She started by, hey, I raised all the kids. I think I want to finish my associate's degree. And then she finished that and she goes, wow, I still have questions. Is it crazy? I think I'm going to do my bachelor's. And then she finishes that and she says, I think I want to do my doctorate. And my whole role has basically been, let's go. Let's figure this out. She supported me. So now she's not involved in the day-to-day operations, but she is involved from a perspective of, she is my biggest confidant, my biggest cheerleader, and she sees things in a way that I do not. She gives a new way of looking at things that when we were in council, I really listened to her ideas, even if she's not involved in the day-to-day operations. Stu, for you and Lindsay, was there ever a time that you had to go through something really difficult? Maybe it's financial, maybe it's health, maybe it's personal, whatever it is. How did you maintain your marriage through the difficulty?
Man, I'm so grateful for Lindsay Joe. My wife, Lindsay, is by far and away my biggest fan and cheerleader, and she's always done nothing but show belief in me. And I feel like I've earned it in large part. It didn't just come easy. You can only fail so much before, but I had literally come home 3 different times in our first 2.5 years of marriage and said, this didn't work out. I'm really sorry. I got laid off today. This didn't work out. I'm sorry. I thought I'd be better at this door-to-door sales. Everyone told me I was going to be so good at it. I'm sorry this car sales job didn't work out. That looking back, I have all sorts of business experience that makes me go, oh, wow, I should have seen how much this was not like me as a receiver not being able to catch a ball and more like my quarterback can't throw it. The businesses were not the right businesses. And so, by the way, if you're still in your career path, ask yourself if you're working for the right team of people with the right quarterbacks if you can catch a ball, but your quarterback can't throw it to you, you're never going to catch a ball. So question that and look for that. Anyways, for me, as it relates to Lindsay, she just was always trusting that I was going to figure it out and find a way, and cheered me on. And she knew that I was not, that I wasn't so prideful that if I needed to go get a real job, I would. That if I needed to go and flip burgers to get by, I would. And so she knew we were never going to end up homeless. And she didn't marry me for money. I had none. And she was okay with, if this doesn't work out, we can accept Stu just taking a regular job again. And he's employable. He can get something. So yeah, I'm so grateful for that. As far as hard times with it, oh man, the list of hard times and times when I had to say, hey, we're going to go on half of our pay. We're going to take a month off of pay, and I can't pay for this month. Can't take a paycheck this month. So we got to watch I needed to use this credit card this month. There were times when it was like, this is the credit card that has budget for you for this month. And I promise I got a way to figure it out for next month, and we'll get it paid back down to zero. I promise, honey. But for this month, you got to use this. And I can imagine how scary that was for her, but she never showed a lot of concern, just a lot of trust and faith in me, and cheered me on. And I think you got to find that balance with your spouse. And you may find, guys, look, it won't matter how many businesses you start, how many millions you sell for, or how much money you make. If she doesn't want to be a part of it, you'll much prefer having her and having the happiness with your wife and kids than a life lived with that success that you only get at the sacrifice of your family. It's just not worth it. So find a way to get them on board with it, sell them on the vision, and then keep an open, honest dialogue about where things are at, so they can make good life choices with their spending habits to help make it work. Otherwise, a spouse can very quickly bury you as a founder. So
Absolutely. Reminded, I was coaching another founder, and he hired us to help him get from 10 million to 20 million a year. In the process of all that, I was asking him, well, why isn't 10 million enough? Right? Not because I thought that he didn't deserve more, but I wanted to get to the heart of what really happened. And he said, I just want to be able to spend more time with my wife. So through the process of coaching, I was able to help him recognize that he could spend time with her right now at the $10 million mark. And funny thing happened, as he spent more time with the things that really mattered, his business started growing, and he hit that 20 million in less than a year. Doubled his business because he put the most important things first, not the business. He put his wife, his kids, his grandkids, and his faith first. What have you done to protect your faith? Because, this podcast, this is designed for men that are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who are looking for a way to grow, but, they want to focus on their family, their faith, their fitness, their finances, their freedom. What have you done to protect your faith along this journey?
Talk about the feeling of like primary answers here, but I read my scriptures. I say my prayers. I take time to go to church, not just go to church, but serve in a calling and say yes to service opportunities. Like, I do those things, and I make it a consistent habit to go to the temple as well. So I've just promised myself that if I put God first, that he would help me find a way. And I believed it, and I've proven it to myself now over and over again. So I'm so grateful that I've had good examples of others around me where I've seen them do that. And I've studied, by the way, the apostles. If you look at the leaders of the church, they have incredible resumes. It's crazy everything that they've accomplished, and they had to have been so busy. So for me, I've looked at it and gone, well, I bet one area of where you would find these successful men in their life is in sleep. They're not overdoing it. There is no right number of sleep. Doctors are going to tell you you need 6 to 9 hours. That's a pretty big range. And if you happen to be one of those people that can live on 6 and you sleep 9, well, you're giving yourself over 1,000 less hours of life every year. If you're sleeping 9 and you only needed 6, you got to figure out what's the healthy amount for you and don't overdo it from there. Do that amount and use that extra time. That for me was a huge part of being able to put God first, still do the other things, keep my faith. Was I took time to lift weights in the morning when my kids were still asleep. I took time to read my scriptures in the morning while my kids were still asleep. On Saturday morning when the whole family slept in, I got extra work done so that I wouldn't be too far behind the following Monday. I didn't work on Sunday, and I made sure that I kept that a priority. Very few times have I had to. Business trips have kept me working some Sundays, but very rarely did I do that. And I don't share that to brag. I just share it to say that's what worked for me. If I look at why I've kept my faith, that's why. So, Mark, we need a round 2 of that. I'd love to talk more about my testimony, but I have to wrap up, and I'm sad to do that. So,
no, actually, we're coming right down to the very, very end. I only have 2 more questions. 1, what is your favorite scripture?
My favorite scripture is pray always that ye may come off conqueror. I want to conquer Satan. I'm so mad at him for what he does, for his evil work, and the motivation to pray, to overcome, and to watch our Savior win is what I'm after. And building his kingdom is what I want to do. So that scripture, to pray always that you may come off conqueror, is my favorite.
I absolutely love that. If you were to give, final question, if you were to give one piece of advice to the younger Stu and Lindsay, what would you say?
Let yourself dream bigger and plan for a bigger life than you're letting yourself believe in today. That's the advice I'd give, because the reason that we didn't enjoy more success younger was simply from not believing it was possible. And we were given the gifts to make it a possibility, but by not thinking about it as a possibility younger, we held ourselves back a lot. So
absolutely powerful advice. Stu, I love this. Thank you so much. I know you're a busy guy, but thanks for hopping on here, being my friend. And
yeah, glad to do it.
You know, folks, guys, look, if you're ever wondering, and I know you've heard this, entrepreneurship is lonely. No, that's actually a lie by Satan. Entrepreneurship is not lonely if done correctly. Get involved with other guys, get involved with other people that are dreaming big, that are becoming, that are doing something. Get involved with people that are going to help you be better fathers, husbands, and stewards of the time that the Lord has given you. We do that here at the Full Ascend Brotherhood. We'd love to have you. But Stu, thank you, brother. I cannot appreciate and tell you how much I appreciate you just for being there. And what you don't know is that you were there at a time that I was preparing to close a business and I was questioning if I had worth. Thank you for what you do.
Man, I'm so glad to have helped in some small way in helping you get through a hard time, Mark. And so excited to watch your bright future now. It's awesome.
It's good stuff. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We hope that you enjoy, and make sure that you like, subscribe, share, and we'll catch you on the Full Ascend.